What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be showing you how to do an oil pan gasket on a 6.7 Cummins. Behind me we have our 2017 single cab dually that has an oil pan leak. So I'm going to be showing you all the process of how to go ahead and replace the gasket. So the first step as far as any kind of oil leak goes is you always want to diagnose where the source of the problem is. For instance, I actually first noticed that this truck had an oil leak when I saw oil sprayed all over the front axle. It was absolutely coated in this passenger side steering stabilizer, as well as all over the front of the axle, but only on the passenger side. It wasn't on the driver's side, which made me led to believe that the source of the problem was coming from the passenger side engine block someplace. So then I went ahead and did a super deep thorough clean on anything and everything that had oil on it in the undercarriage. After that, then I let it kind of sit, blew it out with compressed air as well as brake cleaner just to make sure everything was spotless, so that when I ran it, I knew that it wasn't already there prior to cleaning it. So after I had everything cleaned up and we ran it for about 25-30 minutes on high idle, around 1200 RPMs, we had this little guy start dripping right there. So this is now the source of our problem. And based on that silicone, I feel like the prior owner had actually already done an oil pan gasket on this truck. So we're gonna see what we find when we drain the oil and the pan. So you pull out and you pull down like that. Voila. So step one, drain the oil out of the pan. So we went ahead and drained the oil. So now we're going to be up here on the top of the engine, getting ready for being able to put some lifting points on it so that we can actually pick it up and have enough clearance to drop the pan out. So coming on over here, we have our front or our top radiator hose bracket that we're going to go ahead and take off. I already previously had it off, so that's why everything's loose, but this bolt right here is a 16 millimeter, so we're going to take that one out. And then on the back side is a 10 millimeter bolt that I used on this back side. And then that's going to come off, and then we can just pop this black bracket off and take that one up out of the way. Now we're actually going to reuse the bolt that was in here, and then I was able to find just a random one laying around the shop. Here's our lifting bracket. We went ahead and wallowed out these two holes to be able to fit right here. And then we're just going to get these started. So this one's a 16 millimeter. And this random one we found is a 15 millimeter. But you want to make sure your lifting point is nice and flat on your block, because if it's not, then that's when you can start tearing threads out. So we're going to tighten this down, tighten the other one down. So now we're going to have our two lifting points. We have our passenger side ear that came on it stock, and then we put this removable one here on the driver's side right in front of the intake horn. So for those of y'all that still have your like plastic surrounding thing, shindig, I can't remember what the heck the name of it is, but it bolts right here on these two, and then there's a couple other 10 millimeter screws that are over here, and then your engine oil dipstick actually feeds around it because it sits over here too. Ours is obviously non-existent because we took it off a long time ago, but if you have that on there, you have to take that off first before you can access these brackets. So now we're going to go ahead and take the dipstick out because we don't want to damage it when we're dropping the pan and pinching it and stuff. And then we'll move on to setting up our lifting points to raise that front of the engine up. Alrighty, so now we have our engine support bar set up here. This is actually going to be what we use to lift the front of this engine up, and I want to make sure both sides are even. This is just one that I got from Harbor Freight, so we're going to test it out and see how well it does. So we're going to use an 18 millimeter. We're going to put it right here on this motor mount bolt, and and just loosen it up some so that we have enough wiggle room and play to be able to lift with our support bar above us. Passenger side one now too. Alright, so the next thing, you're gonna have to take this drip pan out. I wanted to take it out to actually kind of show y'all a little better and a lot easier of where these clips are. So you have these 3 Christmas tree clips, and they're right here, right there, and then another way up here on this frame rail. So, in terms of where those are on the truck, you're gonna have one, that front one kind of sits up in here. And so I use these pliers to get underneath it and then pick up on it. So you'll use that for this front one as well as the back one back there. The other one is up here. The only way to kind of reach that one was actually using a pry bar and kind of getting the pry bar up in the front underneath it and then prying up on it, because you have this hump to have to get out. And then you have to pull it forward, but be sure that the spout goes up and through here, because it gets caught right here. This spout will get stuck underneath here, so you got to push up on it and then pull this out towards the front, and that's the best way to get it is through the front here. There. Now we pretty much have everything out of the way, so we're going to start taking all these bolts out. Now, I like to work from the front to the back so that the lighter part of the pan is going to come down first instead of the heavier part of the pan where you can risk bending the lighter part. So, I already started there. I'm just going to keep on going. There's really no sequence as far as taking them off goes, but there is a sequence when you put them back on. So just keep that in mind. And I'm going to take them out, put them in my little box so that I don't lose them. Okay. This is loose, so that's good. I'll just keep on going until we can get her out. Alrighty, so obviously it's the next day, and this is the current situation we've got going on. The support bar, that one that we got, is not near enough weight capacity, so we kept stripping out those side ones, and so we had to resort to obviously the lift setup to be able to get it up high enough to then drop down the pan underneath. So along with the pan, you also need to take the pickup tube off, which is, there's 2 bolts in the front and they're 10mm, and then you have 2 13s along the side that go towards the back of the pickup tube, which I'll show you here in a second. Getting this high enough without messing things up is a little bit of a task. I think we've pretty much maxed out our capacity up here. I had to obviously take the crankcase cover off, so that's taped up in the back over there, and we're pretty much maxed out up there as well. Alright, so these are the 2 10mm bolts, and this is pretty much how it sits inside of the pan. So this is a 13mm and this is a 13mm. So kind of showing y'all over here, the front is, see that gasket? This gasket will get replaced, this one right here. So that one and that one are the 2 10mm bolt holes sitting underneath here. And then the 13s are where those missing bolt holes are. So that one right there, And then that way you can actually drop it down. We also took this plate cover off right there so you can see the inside of the housing. But there were two 10mm bolts there too that were in the way, so I went ahead and took those off. We also have the jack holding up here because we took the nuts out of the transmission support, so that's how much room we've got going up. And to do that, we also had to take off front drive shaft, rear drive shaft to give it enough room to then go up. So another thing that I know y'all are gonna be tempted with is using some sort of electric grinder tool or whatever. Do not use that, okay? The one and only thing that I would suggest using to scrape the old gasket material off, all through here, are one of these. And make sure when you're using this, they stay flat. Because if you have it angled and it digs into the bottom of the block, you're gonna have a leak there. Just be sure to keep that flat, like that. And then you can go back through and scrape over until it's clean. Okay, so once you get all of your ceiling surfaces on both sides nice and super clean and you're ready for silicone, you are gonna be putting silicone on this joint in the back. See where this meets this? You're gonna run a bead right here, run a bead over here, from there to there, right there and up there. So, because we gotta put the tube in first and put our new gasket in right here with the pickup tube. Tighten that down. Torque spec is 18 foot-pounds. I need to clean that back up again because there's oil back on there. And then once those are torqued, then we can put the other 13 back in. That goes in there. And then the other one in there. And I couldn't find a torque spec for those, so I'm going to torque them to 20 foot-pounds. Alright, and we're going to feed it up in here.
Yep, right there.
I'm gonna start working on the tube.
Okay.
I'm gonna get those 13s in, and then that tube is done. Okay, so this has now been, I think, well, we started this all on Sunday and now it's Wednesday. But to be fair, I was super busy yesterday, so I didn't have a chance to do any of it. But I am really sorry about how insane this video has been because my camera kept dying in the middle of filming, and at that point it was just so freaking hot. I just wanted to get things done, so I wasn't prioritizing filming for y'all, so I apologize for that. But I'm going to kind of walk through everything that I did after the fact so that y'all can kind of also do the same procedure that I did if you choose to do so. So I'm sorry it's not a step-by-step in the process of it, but I'll kind of explain what all I did so that y'all can also maybe try the same thing. Okay, so I'm gonna start underneath the truck. The first thing we did, I actually removed the rear drive shaft and I removed the front drive shaft. I just took out those bolts right there. That way I had enough room to jack up the transmission, transfer case, the whole drive line, okay? So, and also in order to do that, I had to take out these 3 nuts. There's 1, 2, 3 nuts. So those 3 nuts come out of the transmission support so that you can jack this up and kind of help bring this up. Because the front of this is so freaking heavy that it needs support on the back of the drive line as well. Exhaust bracket right here. So I took out this top bolt. I took out this little bolt for this clamp, or this little brace for the transmission lines, and then this bottom one. So those are 15s, and this one is a 13. And that way that was all loose so that the exhaust wasn't coming up when I was jacking this up. This one, that's a nut. Well, that's actually a bolt. The nut's on the other side. And then same on this side. It's a little easier to see on this side, this one. So those are your engine mounts. I had to loosen those up a little bit more so that I was able to have that reseat back inside of there, because you have this like bushing on this side and this side that has like this metal flat piece that has to go inside of these mounting brackets that are on the frame. So watching that kind of all seat into place can be a little scary, but I got it back in there. And then I put the drip pan back in. So I put this drip pan back in before I lowered, this is before I lowered everything. And then you have the clip that goes here, the clip that goes up there on the hump, and then the one in the front. And then I put the rock lights back where they were. So also when you're tightening the oil pan, I will put a screenshot of the sequence of tightening, but it goes basically in a circle. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all the way out to the ends. Okay, so moving up here to the top side, I had removed the air filter housing and this, I'm freaking blanking right now. The air filter tube that goes to the front of the turbo. I don't remember what the hell it's called right now because my brain is fried. This snapped because it topped out on the top of the cab. So this ended up breaking. So I replaced it. And that is the heater core inlet that goes way over there. And it's the top hose, this top one. So be sure to take this off before you jack this up, otherwise you will break this. I had also removed the crankcase cover so that I had a little bit extra room right here because there wasn't a whole lot of room. And I removed this one because this also goes to the big tube that goes to the turbo. I can't think. Oh, I'm drawing a blank on what the heck it's called, but anyways. And then I put this bracket back on that goes to the upper radiator hose and put the dipstick back in, filled it with oil, made sure it was a little bit above what the full line is because I haven't started it yet. So once I start it, let it run, then I'll top off as needed. And I think that was pretty much everything. So if y'all have any questions, please just leave them in the comments and I could probably come out and show y'all what we had done, because this video is just ADHD in a video format by far. It's so incomplete and I'm so sorry about that. It was just a treacherous nightmare of trying to get this thing to be done. And I was kind of on a little bit of a deadline because I wanted him to be able to drive it home. But obviously that didn't happen because I still have it. But it's okay. Now it's done. So now I'm going to start it after I cleaned everything and its brother off. So I'll start it and then we will let it get up to operating temp again and check it for leaks and pray nothing is leaking, or I will freaking cry. Alright, looks good as far as oil pressure goes. Let's check the oil again. Top off as needed. Okay. So it's like barely like way down here at the very tip. Like it's not even, like it's barely at the first notch. So I'm gonna go ahead and add in the rest of this oil. And then I'll check it again. And just keep repeating that until it's in the spot we need it to be. Okay. All right. Test drive, come back, check it for leaks. Fingers crossed, guys. Well, it officially passed. No leaks and it is good to go.